Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/SIBSB. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player.
Until I met my new best friend, all of my boys say I'm tripping. When they call, I'm not answering. They always get my voicemail.
Alex, are we rolling? We are rolling. Welcome to another episode of Sorry I've Been So Busy. This is a podcast where we talk to very busy people about what they're busy with. Sometimes we talk to not very busy people about what they are pretending to be busy with. Today we have a man who I'm very excited to be with us, visiting from Los Angeles. Back in New York, Andrew Goldstein is here.
Ange Gold on Twitter, ANGEGOLD.
We're running through this super fast, just because why not?
I like it.
Alex is here, producer Alex. We're here at Showbiz Studios. My name's Matt Goldich, at Matt Goldich on Twitter, MattGoldich. Check out all the other Showbiz Studios pods, the David Feldman Show, the Carson Podcast, Defend Your Movie, many others, and check out their YouTube page, the Facebook page, our Facebook page.
At Busy Podcast.
That's our Twitter as well.
You can type that into Facebook and find us.
And please rate and review us on iTunes.
Yeah, find us on iTunes.
Yeah.
Hit those 5 stars. Leave us a rating. Leave us a review.
You can listen to all
really helps.
more than 100 episodes on there.
We're over 100. This is amazing.
Yeah,
I've never done 100 of anything in my life.
No, me neither. And thank
Consistently.
you. Yeah, for all the nice comments about the live episode with Sarah Haynes from The View and all that good stuff.
And our live episode with Giannis and Chris.
Yes. Andrew, do we have a busybody of the week?
We do. This is an amazing story. You know, we're like you just said, we're 100 plus in, and look, most of our fans, most of our sort of listenership is some version of somebody we know, some adjacent, somebody. You know, we don't have a lot of organic. We probably do, and we just don't meet them, is what I'm saying, right? We don't organic listeners. We don't have people coming up to us on the street and being like, "Oh, I listened to the podcast." But I was in an edit this last week on the new show that I'm working on, and sitting with the editor, doing editor things. And at the end of our little session, we were like getting up to like take a break, and he goes, "Goldstein, right? You're Andrew Goldstein." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "At Ange Gold? Are you Ange Gold?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Sorry, I've been so busy." I listened. I was like, this is like my first organic.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know you. You don't know me. How'd you find us? And he listened to the Akash Singh episode because he had worked with Akash, and he subscribed to the podcast because he was like, it's a really. He was like, I found it to be like an industry podcast that I had always been looking for.
We do interview a lot of behind the scenes people.
He's like, you guys are the only one. Everybody's booking comedians and people.
We
of
can't
note.
get those people.
We're booking writers, writers and producers and this and stuff like that. And so he was like, I find your podcast to be really fascinating.
What's the gentleman's name?
Industry level, Alexei Shishkin.
Alexei Shishkin is the busybody of the week.
Is our busybody of the week. Shout out. He's my editor for my
That's amazing.
entire project.
Good to hear. I like that.
It was really exciting. I was going to text you, and then I was like, you know what? He's busybody of the week. I'm saving it for the
perfect.
pod.
Good job. Nice. Well done. Well collected. Yes.
Alexei Shishkin.
Yeah.
I married Jamie Siskin.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Cool. Any other business we have to get out of the way?
No, Matt, what's going on with you? What are you busy with?
Oh, I have a gym story that I wanted to run by you. Yeah, because I've been trying to go a few times a week, and it's more of a gym question, like an etiquette question. I know you love these, and I'll bring in our guest as well on this afterwards.
Who
if he has any
worked
opinions.
in your building? So
yes,
no
Who's probably been to? Have you been to the gym in the building?
I have, yeah.
So you'll understand the layout of the gym. Although they've actually, I think I mentioned
refurbished.
They refurbished the gym.
Yeah,
and they briefly made us go to New York Sports Club across the street, which was a nightmare.
Monsters.
The gym was closed for a while.
Wait, did they? So they covered your membership or whatever?
They did. They covered our membership to New York Sports Club for a few months while they refurbished the gym. It is
like a kind of a sweet deal.
Although I didn't like. Well, I brought them up on the
pod.
I had a lot of problems with New York
issues.
Sports Club because you had to bring your own lock. You had to, I also have a brief window during the day, which is an hour where I typically go to the gym, and going across the street sort of cut into that time. Anyway, so I had an issue where I was at the gym where I was in the shower.
Oh God!
And I had my towel hanging outside the hook of the shower, and I turned off the shower, and I opened the door, and my towel had fallen off the hook into the onto the wet floor. So now I'm curious, A, what a person would conceive the options are at this point, and B, what they would actually do. So in my case, the three things that
Option A, nervous breakdown.
Right. The three things that I thought of immediately as possibilities were A, run across the entire locker room naked and soaking wet and get a new towel.
And then
B, use the wet towel that had fallen on the ground.
Loosely. I would loosely just to get to the new towel.
That's what I did.
Yeah,
that is what I chose. C. I very gingerly draped the towel around myself and used it to get to the new towel. Yeah,
I think that's what I
Those
would
were
do.
the only three options I considered. I brought this up in the writer's room at work, and somebody else brought up a fourth option, which I had not considered, which is yell for help.
No, I was going to say, hello?
Yeah, could
Anyone
someone bring
there?
me a towel? Which seems to me, I would put that below. The question is, why...
Also, it's a work gym. There's very good chance it's somebody you work with.
I guess so. The question is, why am I not more... So, here's what I can't really wrap my head around. I am a kind of a germaphobe. I really would have preferred not to have this wet towel touch my body once it had been on the ground. So why am I not comfortable just running across the locker room naked and wet and getting a new towel and letting the germophobia take over and letting it overwhelm my fear of being nude in a locker room where people are nude? Like, I don't understand why. Why?
If you did the run, would you cup your? Would you?
I think that makes it more
I think
awkward,
you're doing
right?
the run with the hand over.
I think the cup makes it seem like you have something to be ashamed of.
I would do
think
the
it's
hand
better
cup.
to just. I think I would do a quick, purposeful walk. Like, I don't want to. You don't want to
letting yourself dangle.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. But you don't want to come off as somebody who has something to hide. But you also don't want to come off as somebody who's overly comfortable or taking it.
I would do the Blink 182.
You did just describe yourself striding nude through a locker room, and there's not much that I can think of that's more confident than that.
Right. But if you have somewhere to be, if you have some a task to accomplish nude, I understand it.
Yeah.
I don't
would
like
do
the
the
guys
Blink
who are
182 hand cup, double hand cup, and scurry.
Hand cup over the ginger towel drape, or would you do ginger towel?
Honestly, I would do the ginger towel drape.
Yeah, that's what I did.
But I could probably swing doing the.
What do you think?
The
What is your
walk.
instinct?
I think I'm a towel guy. I think you use it as a tool to get to the next towel.
Yeah,
and then you use the cleaner towel, and then you just
kind of
pretend that never happened.
Do you jump back in the shower quickly?
Wash off?
No, you forget that you were ever draped in that.
Is there any part of you that even considers just drying off with that towel that has fallen on the ground?
I don't think that's a possibility.
How damp was it?
That's the thing. Like,
if it wasn't really damp,
like a 4 or 5 out of 10. Something about that floor.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like the parts that have touched other people's feet can touch my feet, but they can't touch my face. That's bad, right?
This would never happen to me because I'm not showering in a gym.
See, but that's the thing. I used to be because you're a non-gym showerer, but I now do it in a window during the day where I then go back to work.
Right.
So,
it's a fascinating question.
Yeah.
We should add this to the format of the podcast.
Is what do you do if...
we ask everybody.
Yeah. Because, there is...
What a conundrum.
It's an age-old question about nudity in the gym locker room, but this is, I feel, like a new twist on it. So.
I can't believe that you didn't come prepared with this story, that you just thought about it.
I thought about it, earlier when we were talking about other gym stuff. But I've completely forgot about it. Yeah, that
would happen to me, and I'd be like, "Oh, this is great for the pod."
I know, right?
I'm going to do the.
I almost actually thought about posting my first ever Twitter poll about this. I've never posted a Twitter poll, but then I was like, I think this might be a good topic. I'm going to find out.
It's also weird, in particular, being in that NBC locker room because you never know if you were to do a confident nude stride through the locker room. You never know if you might suddenly...
Lester Holt.
Yeah, you might suddenly come face to face with Lester Holt
Ari Melber
Chris Haynes.
Just
yeah. No, it's anything could happen, and or worse, like
slip.
One of my coworkers.
And if you have any sort of speed on this purposeful walk and you slip, it's all over.
That is the other. I have to say, in my mind, the other thing was not just the nudeness, but the wetness. I did not want to just stride wet across the locker room. It felt dangerous and unsafe.
It is funny that a coworker is the worst thing. I would rather slip and fall nude in front of Ronan Farrow than one of the other writers from the show that I wrote for.
I agree. Yeah.
That Ronan Farrow used to work for MSNBC. That wasn't just
no, I think so. Yeah.
But like when you were at the Tonight Show, imagine you're like in this situation and you're purposefully naked walking in the gym, just right into Drucker. Or...
No, can't happen. I would cover myself up in more layers. God forbid. And sometimes we would end up there at the same time as our head writer, A.D. Miles. It's a nightmare scenario. You don't want to see. I don't know where it comes from. Like, we should be able to be comfortable.
Well, we see them every day, so logically you should be more comfortable.
Merciless. You don't want them seeing it. Yeah. All right, let's take a quick break, and then we'll give our guest a proper introduction and be right back with him. For you, the listeners of Sorry I've Been So Busy, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. You can download any book you want. You could download Jensen Karp's book, Kanye West Owes Me $300, his great memoir about being a white teen rapper. We had Jensen on the podcast to talk about his book, and it was awesome, and he's a super interesting guy, so check that out. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/SIBSB. Again, that's audibletrial.com/SIBSB for your free audiobook. All right, we're back with our guest. We're very excited to have him here. A guy we've been wanting to have on the pod for a while, and he used to live in New York, now lives in L.A., but is back visiting. A very funny stand-up comedian, has written for many TV shows, and a really nice guy. Chase Mitchell is here.
Hey,
welcome to the pod.
Thank you for having me.
We already know where he's.
I feel weird because I talked a lot already.
I know.
Yeah, we talked about my naked, wet body.
Our listeners have already imagined Chase walking naked in the gym.
We have a whole problem where we bring in. We will often have the guests sit in for the intro, and other people think it's awkward, and we've just decided to sort of lean into it.
This is a podcast staple.
I wasn't sure. I was gonna hold back and stay mute the entire time.
No,
I'm
glad you
let loose.
Oh, you
I'm
can.
glad you jumped
in. But it is akin to like that comedian thing where like the person is introducing you on stage and they accidentally say your name very early on, or if your credit is something that has your name in it, like from the Chase Mitchell show, and he's one of the funniest. It's like we know who it is.
Yeah, we already got it.
But also people are reading the description; they know that you're the guest.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I learned just a couple minutes ago, Chase used to live across from the Showbiz Studios.
I can't believe how close this is to where my apartment is.
Literally across the street.
I pointed it out the window.
Yeah.
It's, how specific can I get? Do you guys want people to know?
I don't know. It's Alex's.
It's the same block.
We're talking East Village. We're talking somewhere in that area. It's literally right across the street.
It's really cool.
Yeah,
and you had no idea that the Showbiz Studios was rocking in here.
You guys were over here making magic that entire time, and I had no idea.
Well, anyway, thank you for being on the podcast. Absolutely. We're happy to have you.
When did you live in New York? You lived in New York from
about 4 years, 2013 through 17.
Where are you from?
Atlanta, Georgia, originally.
Oh,
yeah,
that's fun.
From the television show.
Yeah, perhaps you've heard of it.
Yeah, you were on it.
That's exact. Donald Glover and I had the exact same experience growing up, actually. So I find that show reflects, my childhood.
And so you moved here for school or for comedy?
For comedy. I was living in Atlanta, and I was working remotely for a comedy website, and I was a contributor for collegehumor.com, and
were you doing stand-up down there?
No, I wasn't, which is funny because now I've since become friends with a lot of stand-ups who were on the scene in Atlanta at the time, and I didn't know them then, but like Shalewa Sharp from Atlanta, and No Garden Schwartz, and so
Earthquake.
Yeah, Earthquake. We were tight. But so I was, I was going to see shows at like Laughing Skull Lounge and stuff like that in Atlanta, but I didn't try stand up until I got up here to New York.
Andrew and I once, many years ago, did a tour with Stuckey and Murray, and we did a show in Atlanta. I don't know if you remember this, but I think the place later burned down.
Yeah. From our jokes.
Yeah, it was a hot crowd. What was the name? I forget. I looked this up on an earlier episode.
Yeah.
But it was a comedy venue. It was a music venue that we did comedy. I wonder if it's somewhere. Were you in the city of Atlanta?
I was, yeah. I wasn't, I kind of fudge and say that I grew up in Atlanta. I grew up in the suburbs, but after college, I went to college at Auburn University in Alabama, and then went back to Atlanta, and then lived in the city proper.
Yeah,
in the neighborhood called Decatur, which is a very, very cool neighborhood.
I know it from lots of rap songs.
Yeah, it's
like bar mitzvah rap songs.
Decatur is mentioned quite a few times in some Ludacris songs, and
Ludacris brings up Decatur. It's a very progressive
fun word to rhyme things with.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to Google what the name of the music venue that burned down is. But also, Stuckey went to Auburn, didn't he?
No, Stuckey went. I don't know if he went to Auburn.
Am I confusing? Stuckey went to Alabama. I'm going to really embarrass myself.
But it's a good time to be an Auburn sports fan. My friend Harris Adler is one of the assistants for Auburn basketball.
Oh wow!
So they were my rooting interest this year.
That was, I don't follow sports super closely. I check in every now and then, very casually.
Right.
But I didn't know that Auburn was in the tournament this year until I saw the actual layout. I was happy for them.
It's interesting.
Then they got blown out
at a school like Auburn, where my northern sense, it just feels like it just is part of the experience being there, right?
I feel like the only way that
can you go there?
I think the only way that people have heard of Auburn is from their sports teams.
Charles
Barkley, Bo Jackson,
Chuck Person.
Yeah,
isn't Chuck Person just arrested by the FBI or something?
Wesley Person.
So why'd you move from? Because I think I knew you a little bit at this point, just from Twitter.
Robin
and stuff.
Thicke says Decatur.
That's right. He does. I just got way too excited about that. That's not even a good song.
He does say sexual
Decatur.
Harassment.
Yeah.
Blurred Lines.
Blurred Lines.
Yeah, he says Decatur.
Oh wow, I don't
from
think
London to Decatur.
We were all pretty excited about it down there.
Yeah, it was a big moment in your life.
Yeah. And that part he did not get from Marvin Gaye. That was not the
no.
I remember you from this was I want to say the very beginning of this era where you could know somebody from online, where it was possible to actually know someone, be like a Twitter friend without actually knowing someone in real life, which
kind of the Wild West back then.
Yeah, which the
heyday of Twitter when it was fun.
Yeah,
and there was a community, and every award show everybody was just writing jokes, and it was so much fun. But you were definitely one of those names that broke out of the pack.
There's sites that will tell you how long that you've been on Twitter, and I happen to know that I've been on there for 9 years.
Wow.
9 years on that hell website.
I know. Well, yeah. Although now that, it is between that and Facebook, who knows what's up?
Yeah.
What's more,
But yeah, that was something that at the time I was working for. I worked for my dad for a little. My dad has a very small business-to-business focused advertising agency in suburban Atlanta.
Decatur.
Wait, what does that mean, business-to-business?
It means they only advertise. They do. It's a lot of trade show banners and stuff like that, and it's not the sexy advertising. It's not, you're not writing Old Spice ads.
Yeah,
it is, you are doing straight a lot of the work was for a car auction company and stuff like that. So it was a lot of stuff that only other businesses are seeing. So you're writing like I said, a lot of banners that you would see at a trade show.
Yeah,
stuff like that. Real dry stuff. But my dad is he likes to be kind of on the cutting edge of technology type stuff and outreach and marketing and stuff. And so he made everyone at work get a Twitter account.
In what year?
Tweeting. This was had to be like probably 2009.
That's pretty impressive.
You're like a beta user.
Yeah, and so I started an account for the company to like tweet about advertising and shit, and then I started a separate one for myself to like fuck around and make jokes and stuff. And
which has more followers now?
I would say that it's the main account. I actually haven't checked that advertising one. You can still find it. It's there. I definitely did not close it. I think it's like Chase _ at MLT or something like that, and it's probably plateaued right there at about 1,500 maybe.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah. There is a world where you're still this, like an alternate universe, like Slide
for sure,
where you're still the social media guy for your dad's advertising company, but you've like made it cool. Like it's like a cool corporate social media account
and
where you're
Zach
like
Braff plays you in the sitcom about that company,
where you're like tweeting out like blinking white guy memes, like whatever.
God, yeah, I was writing blog posts and stuff. Yeah, so obviously I became much more infatuated with the kind of fucking around making jokes aspect of it, and then that kind of took off, and I got followed by, some of the right people. You get seen by some of the right people, and they retweet you a lot and stuff like that, and it led to some people kind of poking around asking about writing packets and stuff like that, writing submission packets for late night shows, and so I submitted for Weekend Update and submitted for Fallon the first time and got close but didn't get it. And I got close on Weekend Update but didn't get that either.
Were you cagey about like being in Atlanta, like, or were you like? I mean, I guess this was the beginning of the time where like anybody could get it. Like this was later, but there's a guy on our show, Brian, who was an IT guy.
I know Brian. Yeah. There was I talk about this a lot. It was a very like narrow window when you could get hired from your like Twitter account. Yeah. And I do think that I kind of like threaded that needle and kind of got in. Brian and I both, I think, kind of got in when the getting was good, and we slammed the door shut right after us.
Yeah. No more.
Yeah.
Well, people
like Megan Amram, like that like 5-year period where like everyone was just making, like, Twitter was just for jokes. Like, it wasn't about being woke. It wasn't. Thing was exactly.
But also, people are like, they frowned on it, like, oh, you got hired off your Twitter, but like, it proves that not only you're a good joke writer, but also at the time it proved that like you had the kind of like stick-to-itiveness to actually write every day and, keep
brief.
I struggle. I do.
Brevity of words.
I do struggle with that. I feel like it's a little bit of like, maybe it's analogous to like, a singer who gets a career from like American Idol or something. I think I have been like, I think I have like an inferiority complex a little bit about the fact that it happened because of Twitter, and I didn't come up through UCB or I didn't spend thousands of dollars on classes to get where I am or something.
It's so weird. I don't think of it that way, but like YouTube stars, I have this like get off my lawny attitude about it.
Well, because they're like 12.
Yeah.
Right?
That's very Probably that might be part of it. But there's the PewDiePies and shit. They're older, and I'm still just like I want to understand it, but I don't. But I don't feel that way about the people that found success via Twitter.
Well, I think it's probably because right.
I was doing it also. Yeah. It's like I was part of it.
Yeah,
so that's probably why I don't.
I think Matt's right that like I do have those feelings, but then I also if I really think about it, you're right that it is like it's a test of how funny you are. Like it's a people use it as a joke writing device, and if you can consistently be funny on Twitter every day, I think that's as good of an indicator as anything else.
Yeah.
Well, also it's like, I mean, this is kind of off topic, but like the whole idea of like, right now with everybody like deleting Facebook and stuff, or like Facebook's bad, like they sold all our, which is like any of these social media things, there's like a good and a bad to it. It's like, if you were like a gay teenager in a rural area, like you would not be deleting Facebook because like it would be like your like window to the world and like meeting people like that made you feel like less. You know what I mean? It's like it's like, I mean, it's not amazing. All the stuff has done amazing things for people. Like even though it all like has Twitter is like major problems.
I constantly say like I'm two brains about it. I love it so much, but then I also can fully admit that it's ruining the world.
I look at it constantly, and I hate it every time.
Yeah. And you could tell, like, by the way, like, people are like, I've never been the guy who's, like, on Twitter been like, I'm going to take a break from Twitter because I just know that I can't do that.
I've watched,
and you watch those people.
I've watched people say they're going to do that.
Yeah.
And 6 hours later.
Yeah.
They're back.
It's like, that's why I just don't put it out there. Yeah.
Am I right? You worked on Nikki and Sarah?
I did, yeah. So that was the job that brought me to New York.
Got it.
I came up here and
because I was a big Viacom person. Most of my career was at Viacom and MTV and stuff. And so
The Lodge,
huge. But that was like a big risk for MTV, and
it was. I adored that show. I think that was the absolute perfect.
First writing job.
Absolute perfect first writing job. There were 4 or 5 of us on that staff. For all of us, it was our first writing job. All of us have since gone on to work on other shows. It's like a 100% success rate.
It's very cool.
We had a great time. It was really fun and really crazy, and it was weird that MTV, they insisted on actually doing it live. The first season, at least, that was live TV. So we would be gathered together in the writer's room watching the taping. It was us and our head writer, Brian McCann, who was a longtime Conan guy.
Yeah, of course. Bulletproof legs.
Oh, yeah. Man, just to work with that guy was
the fact that you got Brian McCann on an MTV show was just like, blowing my mind. And
he got some FaceTime.
It's unbelievable.
There were people at the show that weren't. They were like, "Please don't put that guy on the show."
Of course, because they have an aversion to.
Are you kidding?
People.
He's over 30. We cannot have him.
I'll tell you, and we talk about it all the time. It's like those early jobs where the risk or the the stakes are very low. It's like the most fun.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It was like, I don't know. We would ask every now and then. We would ask about like the numbers and stuff like that. And we got renewed for a second season. We did 2 seasons of it. But it was never that big of a concern. It was like, for any cable show that's airing that, it's like, really, what are you aiming for? Like, there's 100,000 people are watching.
A show that
at most
is not watched by that many people relatively, and also as a small staff, is like the best training ground, because it's like you have to write. You're
doing everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was so much fun.
I'm sure you weren't just writing jokes or just writing sketches. You were doing.
No, I got brought in. Yeah, I got brought into as a monologue writer. But I mean, on week 2, we were pitching sketches and stuff too. I mean, the line was very blurred between the two. And
from London to Decatur.
Yeah,
they were blurred.
Next thing you know, they're like, "We need you to prep Fall Out Boy."
Exactly.
I don't know that. Yeah,
I mean, this will show how long ago it was. But I got to write a Hunger Games parody, which was the most expensive thing I think they did the entire run of the show. It was like a $30,000 sketch or something like that, and it was like that was the first sketch that I had written, and it was on television.
It's amazing.
Some people saw it.
Tens
of people.
Every once in a while, Nikki and or Sarah will tweet out the link to like an old sketch from the show or an old man on the street.
Yeah,
and they're very funny.
I'm just glad those links are still live. I don't know where they're coming from.
So much of the things I've done, I always try to like find links when people ask, and then they're like dead. They don't work, but I think they probably have them on a drive somewhere.
I heard this one of the I'm still very good friends with all the writers, and one of them mentioned that we just got like a weirdly fat like residual check or something that came in the other day, and I'm genuinely shocked, and also don't know where that came from or why. Like, I don't know if it's showing in
don't
Vietnam
investigate it too much, or they'll try to take it
again.
Back.
Very strange that would come from an
I
TV
shouldn't
show.
even be mentioning it.
Yeah, don't. But but yeah, that's cool. And then Tonight Show happened for you.
Tonight Show happened, yeah. Like I said, I got close on Fallon the first time, not quite, but enough where I was like on their radar, and then they came sniffing back around during that season 2 of Nikki and Sarah, and they asked if I wanted to submit again, and I did for sketch this time. And luckily, by that point, at Nikki and Sarah, I had some sketch experience, and I got it, and I came in and interviewed, and. And so I started Fallon, and then I stayed at Fallon I got to go in at the very end of Late Night with Jimmy Fallon.
So the transition.
Yeah, and then I got to move up with everybody to the Tonight Show. It was really fun. So, but I got those like last 4 months or so on late night were very fun as well, and it was cool to be there for the end of that because I had been a fan of Jimmy's version of late night, and I came in as a viewer very skeptical on that show because I was such a huge Conan fan. I was like raised on Conan, and when Jimmy walked in and was the new host of late night, I was very skeptical that he could do a show that I thought was funny, and I genuinely was a big fan of Jimmy's Late Night. I thought it was really... A lot of people don't remember now because...
The Tonight Show's everywhere.
The Tonight Show's everywhere, and I think that the Tonight Show is associated so much with some of the games and stuff like that, which were part of it then too, but Jimmy's Late Night was pretty weird.
I remember, yeah.
It was fun. It was weird in a different way from Conan,
I was just talking with somebody at our office yesterday, the other day, about Let Us Play With Your Look.
Yeah, it's such a
which is one of the weirdest things to ever be on television, and it's so bizarre. It's so funny.
I'm in awe of it. Yeah. I think it's cool. Yeah. But getting to move up with the Tonight Show was very cool. Nice. And yeah.
And now you're in LA.
Now I'm in LA. I made a very spontaneous decision around the same time last year to leave the Tonight Show. Typically what people will do is they will set up another job before they leave the job that they're at. I don't know if you guys have heard about this.
That is so hack.
Yeah.
So that's like, that's what everyone does.
That's what I thought. And so that's why I decided to really flip the script.
Yeah.
And leap without a net. And I decided to leave the show without something.
And how'd that work out for you?
It's still, it's still a work in progress. I'm living out there. I've had some work in LA. It hasn't been. There's really almost nothing compares to the steadiness. And Matt, I'm sure you know, it's like the steadiness of a late night show that's never going anywhere, and you have work on Monday.
Yeah.
You have work on Monday. You get renewed every 12 weeks or whatever, and as long as you don't, fuck up too bad, you can stay. Yeah. You could die in that job.
Yeah.
And so, going to the uncertainty of not knowing what was going to be my next thing was scary. I basically did like a hard reboot of my entire life. I stuck around New York for about a month after I left the show, and I spent that time working on a spec pilot script to be like a writing sample. And I moved out to LA with that, and I got out there and tried to acclimate myself to Los Angeles, and which was a city that I did not have huge love for before that. But I've thought, what better way than to just immerse myself in it against my own will to kind of try to fall in love with it. But I think it's fine out there.
Well, I bring it up, and we talked before we went on there. Matt had a very similar year in LA.
I mean, I moved out there for a job that ended pretty quickly after I moved out there, and on top of that, I had moved my wife out there, and she quit her job, and then the next thing I knew, I was unemployed for 7 months, and it was pretty rough. It was so I mean, even though I did technically go out there for something, I had a lot of the same experience, and it was, and it can be isolating too, because New York, you're kind of like, I mean, this is all very, I feel like, examined territory, but it's like, if you're not working, you're kind of still in the middle of everything. Like, you walk out of your apartment, you feel like you're living life, but it's like, you could sort of
the city's kind of happening around you. The city's kind of happening at you, whether you want it to or not.
Yeah.
And in LA, everything is, the streets are quiet. It's if you don't seek out stuff to do in LA, then you just don't do stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and also, especially if you're trying to get work, what your people will tell you is well, you got to write a script. So then it's like I guess I got to hold myself up in my house and our apartment and write a script, and then that's very isolating. So it's and then it's sort of you get in your own personal Shining or whatever. It's like,
oh yeah.
Well, so you did How to Be a Person, and you did How to Be Unemployed, and you told that whole story. Yeah. And
I did two different. I did that podcast. Jess Dweck and Mike Drucker's podcast, How to Be a Person. I talked about that. I talked about coming out to LA on that, and then I also did John Gabris' podcast, High and Mighty. And
that's the one I heard. I heard it with Gabris, and you said you went to a lot of movies.
I did because
which I found fascinating because like I know when I've been unemployed, like I'm like I don't want to spend any money. Like I would just sort of.
It's a weird. I mean, well,
I've also never gone to a movie. I've gone to one movie by myself. Ever.
Oh, really? Oh, dude, you gotta get into it, man. It's fucking great. I honestly almost prefer it to going to movies with people at this point. That sounds like a sad thing to say, but I think. Well, okay, so I live in Los Feliz, which is there's a lot of other comedy writers living around there. It's a neighborhood in East LA. And there happens to be there's a very small like downtown strip of Los Feliz that happens to have two very good kind of like old-fashioned theaters there. There's the Los Feliz 3 and there's the Vista. And both of those places, they have matinees every day with they're still like $6.50 a show.
That's great.
So I do see a lot of movies. I see pretty much everything that comes out.
I have like rules about when I'm unemployed about watching TV or watching movies during the day, which I think are actually too strict because A, it's an educational process if you're learning how to write to watch things, and B, I'll spend all day in front of the internet fucking wasting time, and yet for some reason I'm not allowed to watch movies, which is weird. But I did once. I remember right after I moved to New York, I was not working for a few weeks. This was way back in the day. I was a little date, and I was living in. It was August, and I had no air conditioning. And one day I just gave in, and I went to see American Pie 2 by myself in the theater, just to have an hour and a half in the air conditioning.
Just for the AC.
Such a specific choice.
At the old, it was the old, what's now the IFC theater, but it was a regular theater before.
Right, right down there.
Yeah. What'd you think of Jim and the gang's shenanigans?
You know, it didn't quite live up to the original. Yeah, it was basically kind of a rehash, but yeah. It's funny, I recently was like, my wife was watching something on cable. I was like, what is this? I was like, it was American Wedding. I was like, I don't think I ever saw this one, but... You know, they moved on, apparently.
They went like straight to cable, straight to DVD for many sequels.
Unless you have other questions, it seems like a good transition to talk about Chase's day. What is there a typical day or a recent day you want to go through that's particularly interesting, or a typical day in your life? Or
well, it's funny I pretty much packed my week out here in New York with. Stuff. So like I've been keeping pretty busy while I've been here, but I wouldn't say that that's typically what a day is like for me in LA. I don't know if you guys have heard, Los Angeles is a little more relaxed than New York. I would say that a typical day for so I got a dog when I went to Los Angeles. That was a very big thing for me. That's if I come away from Los Angeles with no other success other than the fact that I got this dog, it was at least worth it.
And you've kept it alive for this long.
Kept it alive. He's still doing. He's still doing all right. He's staying with someone right now while I'm here, and she sends me. I
have a dog.
Like a couple of pictures an hour.
The rest of the podcast can speak dog, but we won't do that.
That's fine. No, I don't mind getting into it a little.
So my day kind of always comes back to him. So like a typical day for me is I will roll out of bed. It's like the thing about not being and I've been since I've been in Los Angeles, I have had work.
No, we believe you. Yeah.
Listen, you can check my IMDb page. Right? I've been work.
Sure.
But on a day when I'm not,
we're not your parents. I'm not going to try and get you to move back and work for the ad agency again.
On a day when I'm not, it's just weird because when you're not working, no one needs you to be anywhere. No one's looking for you.
Right.
So you're kind of at your own mercy. You have to make yourself have a day, or you could just lay in bed forever. So I will typically wake up. My dog will wake me up. I let him sleep in my bed.
Yeah, that's right.
It is. I know that there's some, people, you're supposed to crate your dog. I did try to do that. I attempted. I followed the manual. I did all the rules. He wouldn't take to it, and so I kind of caved, and I let him sleep with me. He really likes it. And
What's the downside?
It's adorable.
What is the downside?
It's really not. I'm always a little worried that I'm gonna I don't know if you ever watched The Sopranos, but I'm always a little worried that I'm going to Christopher Moltisanti my dog.
The thing is, if you have a family and kids, there's a much more concern about the dog being comfortable jumping up on furniture. So if you let him sleep, if you let him or her sleep in your bed, that's just like continuing a habit of thinking it's okay that I can jump up on this, I can jump up on the couch, I can do that, and so I think it's more of a concern with.
It's so funny because there's I have a kid and there's they say you're not supposed to bring the baby in the bed with you, but someone was like this is a bad thing to say. I'm sure people roll over their kid and kill them, but it's like
that's not a bad thing to say.
What are the chances? And also it just was not something.
Will your dog sleep as long as you'll sleep, or
he's
start knocking around? And
he's
then
incredibly patient, and I have already started to abuse that. I will sometimes sleep until 11 because I know he'll wait that long.
Yeah.
God knows what damage I've done to his poor little bladder or whatever. But no, I try to be a good person and get up when I sense that because his body language, he'll start kind of messing with me and stuff when he wants to go out.
Does he sniff your face to see if you're awake?
Yeah. He's really worried. He's really worried about me, actually.
That's sweet.
No, so the first thing that my day usually starts with walking my dog on the streets of Los Feliz, and there's a lot of dealing with other dog owners, trying to remember people's names from last time.
Oh, hey, Ted.
Oh, God,
Are you looking at your phone while you're walking your dog?
I listen to podcasts usually, and I try. I think it feels wrong to be looking at your phone while you're walking your dog. So I try not to do that because I feel like people are judging me if they see me doing that.
But you will listen
you're kind of supposed to be paying attention.
You will listen to a podcast.
I will be super distracted, yes. I will.
I'll do it sometimes.
Yeah.
But my wife wants me to be aware. Mm-hmm. So we've kind of compromised on one headphone in, one headphone out.
That's what I do. I'll drop a headphone out very quickly if he sees a friend or if there's someone who we interact with.
You can only listen to podcasts in mono. You can't listen to podcasts in stereo.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay, so then the dog walk ends.
The dog walk ends. Usually he goes. That's what you're hoping for. Mm-hmm. So I never thought that I would spend so much of my day excitedly waiting for my dog to take a shit. And then I get him back home, and then I typically lately I've been doing a lot of writing at coffee shops. There's in Los Angeles a lot of people who do that.
Yes.
And so I will kind of pack my stuff up, my laptop and stuff, and I will walk to. There's a Cafe Vita, which it's funny because there's one here too. It's on the Lower East Side.
What do you do with the dog? You leave the dog at home?
Leave the dog at home. You said that
You're
so concerned.
You're totally allowed to do that.
I know. For how long?
I check in on him. Oh, here's the other thing too is my brother got me for Christmas this thing called a Guardzilla, which is a camera that lets me check in on the dog. And so
we have that.
I will check in on the dog when I leave. It's sort of like a nanny cam type of situation. We are also in kind of a battle of wits right now where there's a corner of my coffee table that he likes to pee on. And it doesn't matter how many times he pees when I take him for a walk, he saves a little bit
to just sprinkle on the corner?
Just to fuck with me.
Just say this is my coffee table.
Yeah. And so I go through a lot of those pee pad things, but I basically have one down at all times on this corner of this coffee table. And so I will leave the apartment to walk to a coffee shop, and I will pretty much immediately begin checking the Guardzilla. I kind of watch it all the way to the coffee shop to see
if he does it.
Because I figured out that he does it about 5 to 10 minutes after I leave. It's an intentional fuck you to me.
Right.
It has nothing to do with needing to go to the bathroom. It is just you dared to not be around me right now, and
they're
fuck
fascinating
you.
creatures.
Yeah. And so, but what's great about the Guardzilla is it has a microphone.
Yep.
So I can yell at him when he does this. And so right now we are locked in a battle of wits where every day I watch my phone for 10 minutes while I walk somewhere and then basically yell at him when he pees. And he still does it.
So you look like a crazy person.
I do.
Into your phone.
I've done this, and this happens when I leave at night too. If I'm going out to meet friends or to do a stand-up show or something, I will also check because it doesn't matter what time of day, he does this like clockwork. And so I kind of just started trying to get him to not do this anymore. I've basically just been patiently going through a shitload of these pee pads. I'm trying to get on him so that he will stop doing this. And so at this point there's probably a dozen lifts that I have yelled at my dog in the backseat of.
That's great.
I try to warn the driver ahead of time so that they know.
Hey man, I'm just going to scold my dog real quick.
Yeah.
Don't mind me.
Anyway, so yeah.
That's an interesting dilemma.
It's very frustrating. The thing is,
and you want to be so mad at them, but then they're so adorable.
Oh, he's so cute. Yeah, and the pee pads, like, they're not that expensive, so it's like it's sort of like buying diapers. It's like if I gotta keep doing this, I mean, eventually I'll have to just take him to like an obedience class or something. But like right now,
I wonder if you moved the coffee table.
I have feng shuied my entire apartment around trying to get him to stop doing this, and nothing helps. And in fact, I'm now just kind of relieved that it's isolated to this one spot.
No pun intended.
Yeah. So, like, it's weirdly like the best case. It's also like the only thing that he does. That's actually not true. He will learn these other bad behaviors. He doesn't like when I go. That's basically the thing. But he's not. I have other friends with dogs who. They're a real problem when they leave the apartment. Like they'll yelp, neighbors will get concerned.
Yeah,
he doesn't do anything like that. He's not that he's not that bad. But he does the pee thing, and then he also will. He's figured out that he can tip over my recycling bag. I don't have like a bin. I keep like a supermarket paper bag full of recycling stuff, and he's figured out that he can knock that over. And then he can drag all the stuff that's in that all over the house, and that's the other thing that he'll do. And I have to check in on the Guardzilla.
So he's kind of a dick.
He's a little bit of a dick. He's kind of a passive aggressive roommate.
Yeah. All right. Well, so that's most.
But I love him.
Yeah. So at the coffee shop.
Yeah, at the coffee shop,
you're ordering one thing just to justify you being there.
Yes, and they don't care. You can do that, and then you can stay there for like 6 hours. They don't.
Yeah, like
white privilege,
like a Starbucks in Philly.
Yeah.
But I'm a real wuss about coffee. I have anxiety issues and stuff, and I have panic attacks and things like that. So, caffeine and me have a real tenuous relationship. So I'm very cautious about how much coffee I get.
Yeah, it takes all the fun out of it.
The drink that I get, like I will do a latte sometimes. I usually just get an iced coffee, but I'm also some of it's probably psychosomatic too. But like basically the entire time I'm drinking the coffee, I am scared of what's going to happen to me from the coffee. I have had. It also depends. I mean, there's all.
But you feel like you need the pick me up from the coffee, because I would just do seltzer.
I also just keep. Well, sometimes I will do seltzer, but I'm determined to acclimate my body to coffee, because everyone does this. I don't want to be left out.
Got it.
Yeah, I feel like I should be able to handle. I'm a 33-year-old man. I feel like I should be able to handle a goddamn cup of coffee. And sometimes it's fine, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes I need to go like take a walk around the block or something. But yeah, and then I'll sit there and some of these coffee shops you go to the same one a few times. I have some friends other friends who are writers who I'll see there, and we will
watch each other's laptop,
either exchange.
I was going to bring that up. We've talked about this. What's your policy for going to the bathroom?
I don't want to shock you guys.
You bring the laptop in?
No, I'm full on honor code. I leave that thing out there.
I think
if anybody's going to take that thing, they're a real piece of shit.
Right.
And I try and have a little faith in humanity.
Honor
in
code.
2018.
Yeah.
And I leave that thing there. And I think that it's also, kind of a power move. If you leave it there, it shows that you're confident that it's still going to be there when you come back.
I don't work in coffee shops. I almost never do, but I've recently did it on the train. I left my laptop on an Amtrak train on the seat, and I was just like, I'm going to pee, and if somebody really wants to take this, there's lots of witnesses.
It's too much to bring it with you. I think there's a lot of folding.
Yeah.
I have a little cushiony case that I keep it in, so I got to slide it in there. It's to do all that just to drag it to the bathroom with you, and then to come back out and
not for a pee,
unfold everything 5 minutes later. Come on,
short.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Is lunch happening for you at the coffee shop? Are you going somewhere else, or are you going home for an afternoon walk?
I have to plan that. That's usually I'll come back home. Matt, I know you're very concerned. I do come back home and check in on my dog.
Good.
That's maybe something that I'll do around 2 or so. I try and get a few hours of work done before I set foot back in my home. That's where the cooking has been happening.
This was the other thing we learned about you.
Yeah. I have been real annoying on Instagram about my cooking, and anybody is free to tell me to stop. I keep kind of waiting for somebody to comment.
Wow, it's amazing.
You've been open and honest about how annoying it is. So
that's
I think
true.
You've headed it off at the pass.
Yeah, I try to be very self-aware about it. But yeah, it's something that when I lived in New York and obviously back in Atlanta and stuff, the city just has so we're right here where I used to live in the East Village, and there's so many good restaurants around that I would get off work at the Tonight Show and I would just grab dinner on the way home. There was never a reason to not do that, and so I don't think I made myself a meal in my apartment for the entire 4 years that I lived in New York.
Yeah, you were a single man in your 20s. Yeah. Why would you?
And and steady job is there's no reason not to just and I was getting a lot of takeout, meeting friends for dinner at a lot of places, and there's just so much good food. It's why would you? California, LA is. There's great restaurants there, but it's so spread out that everything's not as immediate. I could name 6 restaurants downstairs that I would eat at twice a week.
And now you have the inclination and the time, and it's why
exactly. Yeah, and when the employment gets a little more sporadic, then that's when you start experimenting.
Is it Blue Apron type stuff, or are you doing it from scratch?
I do Blue Apron. That's kind of that was the training wheels. That was the bowling with the bumpers on kind of thing. And I do still do it occasionally, but I'll turn it off for a couple weeks and then turn it back on kind of thing. I think that Blue Apron has good food, and it was a really good way to learn how to cook. But I've taken some of the stuff that I've learned, and I've branched out, and I bought some cookbooks, and now I'll just go to the grocery store and buy just kind of a lot of things with vague ideas in mind of stuff that I want to make. And
that's great.
And I've started branching out. It's good, and it's kind of it's not to be corny about it, but it makes me kind of proud of myself that I learned how to do all this stuff. One of my most recent ones that I posted on Instagram was I beer battered some fish and some onion rings, and they were great. That was a total experiment. Yeah, I was literally whisking batter in a bowl. What the fuck am I doing? And it fucking worked. You can make the stuff that you see.
What would stop me is cooking something that I would think when I cook. The whole idea is to cook something that will last 4 days, a pot of something.
Yeah.
It would the idea of cooking beer battered fish and onion rings just enough for one meal would I don't know, it would strike me as
I make a spare.
Yeah.
This is a clever but sad thing is that I make 2 and then I just have that. Most stuff reheats pretty well, especially if I try not to microwave stuff, but something that you can bring back to life in the oven or something like that. You throw it in the oven for a couple minutes, and especially with the Blue Apron stuff, it's all 2 servings. I don't know if there's maybe a setting that you can, maybe a sad guy setting where you can just have them send you 1. But most of that stuff is 2 servings, so...
Do you watch food TV now? Or is it perked your interest? You watch Chopped, be oh, that guy fucking sucks.
That's actually, I did that stuff
what an amateur.
For such a long time before I ever started cooking. I used to actually watch a ton of Food Network and Chopped and Iron Chef and stuff like that, and it never crossed over. I would watch that while I reheated leftovers or something like that.
Right.
But now I'm like, I mean, I feel like I'm like maybe like a year away from being able to compete on Chopped.
He's totally sous videing that steak wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. So you have that for like lunch and dinner, kind of.
Yes, and so I'll come back and do that for lunch, and then usually I will.
But you're cooking something for lunch, or you're like
cooking something for lunch. It's wild. It feels like a lot of effort for just lunch, but like
that's
you
awesome.
said, it lasts till dinner too. And then I'll usually take Teddy out for another walk. I try to also once a week either take him to the dog park or on a hike. I'm lying. It's not once a week. It's maybe like once every 2 weeks. But I do my best to. He loves the dog park. He's very popular there. Big man on campus.
If you're only making it on a hike once every 2 weeks, then you're way busier in LA than most people. Because most people find an excuse to go on a hike like 4 times a week. So
it's literally up my street. I have it's beautiful. I have a view of Griffith Observatory up my street in LA, and so it's there, but it's also mocking me. Like if I don't go there, it's literally I can see it. It's right there, and so I feel kind of honor bound to try and make it up there. He's really good at the dog park, and he's medium good on those hikes. He really likes being outside, but there's usually someone or something that'll kind of set him off barking. He hates
Jews.
Yes. He can sense it, you know? No, he hates skateboarders.
Fuck those
as
guys.
I do. It's something I think he doesn't like the way that it like vibrates the ground or something. I think there's something about it that really deeply
and their piercings. He doesn't like their piercings.
Yeah.
And their baggy pants.
Yeah.
And I get it. I agree with him.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. They're mocking you.
Yeah.
With their
I don't trust anybody who
yeah.
sticks with a child's hobby that long.
I feel bad. We only have a few minutes left, but at night, are you doing a lot of stand up or
some? I stand up in LA is I feel like I haven't I have friends who have bar shows and stuff, and they're nice enough to have me up. I'd say I probably do like one show a month, which is so different from. Like I came back here for just a week, and I immediately set up.
Oh, that's always the way it
night.
is. I do very little out here, and then if I go to LA for a few days, I do shows every night.
I feel like if I just lied to them and said that I was in town for a week,
that's the way to do it.
I could do shows all the time. I there's a few shows there that I really like doing, and I've been. I'll usually do a show or a mic. There's some mics that I'll still occasionally go to. If you can find a good mic in LA, you really like stick to it. There was one that I really loved at this bar called Smog Cutter on Virgil, and it was there every week. I would go there and try new stuff, and I felt like I was really starting to kind of grow as a stand-up and write some new stuff, and then the whole bar just shut down like without warning.
That's standard, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say a typical night is either going to a show or something like that, or do an embarrassing amount of karaoke. Pretty much just any way that I can get a microphone in front of my face at night, I'm pretty cool with.
I love karaoke. What are your go-tos?
I really anything in the late 90s, early aughts.
Yeah.
Alt rock canon is my wheelhouse. I do a lot of Strokes. I do Pearl Jam. Like a little of the STP.
All stuff with like a low register. So
I have kind of a baritone. Someone pointed out to me, and those things work for me. I can also pretty much anything in Rivers Cuomo's register. I can do.
You know what a great song is that I do a lot in that genre is Jumper by.
That was a great one.
By
Third Eye Blind?
Third Eye Blind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very easy song for people who can't sing to sing, and it's really fun, and people get really excited when it comes up.
As opposed to So Many Charmed Life, which is pretty difficult.
Well, the lyrics are batshit.
Well, it's about meth, and then there's a whole added verse that nobody remembers. And yeah. Nookie, you ever do Nookie?
I haven't broken into the Limp Bizkit
And then I do a lot of like boy band stuff.
I
love like a I Want It That Way by Backstreet Boys. I love like a Bye Bye Bye. I love a Poison by Belle Biv DeVoe is one of my go-tos. This Is How We Do It is one of my go-tos.
I would be able to look myself in the mirror so much easier if I did more like ironic karaoke or like did songs because they were funny. I mostly do like sincere songs that I sing sincerely.
That's great.
Nice.
Yeah.
What time you go to bed?
I used to be a real late, what's that called? Night owl? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I used to stay up really late. Now, I feel like I went to LA and never really adjusted off of East Coast time. I feel like to some extent most of LA is still on East Coast time. People wake up at like people wake up there at 7 a.m. who would be waking up at 10 a.m.
Well, the bars here are open really late. Yes. A night out there tends to be dinner.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. So I'd say I probably end up midnight most nights. I think.
How late will you push coming home to walk Teddy?
I try to be as good as I can about that. I'd say I make sure to walk him, I mean I'm sure there's been a couple nights where I like fell asleep without doing it after like a late night out or something, but I'll still walk him and I have a pretty safe neighborhood. I think I'm not ever worried about anything. I'm
the night walk. I'm on the night shift. This is why I asked.
I'll walk him at midnight down my streets, and it's fine. Although I have seen coyotes once or twice, and that is a very concerning thing. They look crazy when you see them because they're like dogs, but their legs are longer.
Yeah,
there's something very unnatural.
I worked for Nick Lachey, who famously his dog got eaten by a coyote.
God. That's rough. That's my absolute nightmare. Yeah.
And that's what.
And on that note,
the 98 Degree song. The hardest thing to do is that's what that was about.
Oh my goodness.
How do you? Let's get to the blow off. How do you blow people off? Is there a time recently when you've used some form of "sorry, I've been so busy" to get out of doing something?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. The dog is a real. Yeah. He's gold for that. I can really use that dog.
I use it a lot.
You can kind of get away with anything for that. I've definitely used him.
He's got a thing. I gotta go.
Yeah, I've used him as an excuse for being late. I've been on bad dates where I've said, I'm sorry, I just have to get home to my dog. Yeah, he is really a golden ticket to anything that you don't want to do. Yeah.
How many times have you used it on dates?
I'd say, baker's dozen.
Wow.
No, I mean, look,
it's a lot of bad dates.
That sounds like a lot of bad dates. That's probably too many.
I'll tell you, an upside with dating is that person always has to sleep at your place.
Yeah. That definitely is a.
As a single person with a dog, the other person has to.
Unless you're seeing someone who also has a dog, then it's a battle of whose dog takes precedence.
Break up.
Yeah.
Or the dogs have to be friends.
I thought you were going to say something about getting the person back to your apartment to meet the dog.
Well, that's another.
I loved that your advantage to having a dog with dating somebody. It was not a sexual thing at all. It was just all about a comfortable night's sleep. You just want to be in your own bed.
Yeah, well, it's definitely an advantage. It was a big thing with me and Jamie when we first started dating because she had a dog.
Yeah.
So everything sort of worked towards her apartment.
Yeah, which was fun.
Yeah,
probably
fun. We're married. It all worked out.
Cool, man. So, is there anything? By the way, sorry, before we go, we should say. It's. I think it's awesome how open you were about, because we listen to you on the other podcast, and a lot of times when people are unemployed, they try to make it seem like they're busier than they are.
Oh
yeah,
no,
more in demand than they are, and I get it, like that showbiz thing of trying to sell yourself, but it's I think it's I would much rather listen to somebody be directed. But yeah,
100%. I mean, Matt's had his experiences we talked about on the pod. I am Mr. Freelance for 18 years. I mean, I've lived that tenuous life, and I've had long spurts where you just and to hear somebody talk about it the way you did, I loved it, and I immediately texted Matt. I was like, you got to listen to this podcast. It's your story.
Thank you. I had a couple of people contact me after that episode. Actually, they would kind of tag me and Gabrus on Twitter or whatever, and they said they appreciated my candor.
It was just a really cool deep dive into like what it really.
I got no shame, man.
Yeah, it really is. Like.
Well, because like it would have been very easy to be like.
No, I got this project, and it's taking up a lot of my time.
I sold this thing,
and then I had a meeting with this agent.
It almost happened, and that's like
like the whole meeting culture, making that seem like more important than it really is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, those meetings are nothing. I spent a summer going on generals. Those things are
building your whole day around. Well, I have a meeting, so
lovely
I can't do
people, lovely people, love everyone that I met. Hope I get to work with them.
Sure. Yeah. Well, we look forward to whatever you have going on next, and people should still. I mean, you are one of the people still funny jokes on Twitter.
Back from the Fave Star era.
Follow you and Chase Mitt, right?
Yeah, give me a trophy on Fave Star.
Yeah. Someone, by the way, it happened to me a few months ago where someone was like, "You're the tweet of the day," and I was like, "This is still a thing."
Yeah,
I hadn't gotten an email from Fave Star in like 5 years. It was crazy.
That used to be like the barometer.
I hope that guy's doing okay.
Yeah,
that used to be the barometer. But anyway, thank you so much for making time on your trip to New York.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely, it was a pleasure to be here.
And let's go to your old apartment.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go knock on the door. Stay busy.
Stay busy.
Voicemail, 'cause I'm busy. Whenever I get with her, say I'm busy. And I'm gonna hit you later 'cause I'm busy. Busy with her.